I'm Emma Larson, 30 years old, standing outside the Santa Barbara Yacht Club, my heart pounding like a drum. In my hands, an invitation I was never meant to get, gold embossed, screaming old money. 12 years ago, my family, my own flesh and blood, wiped me from their lives like I was nothing. They didn't just disown me, they told the world I was dead.
Dead.
All because I didn't fit their perfect, polished image. Tonight's my sister Claire's big charity gala, the event of the season, and I'm about to walk into a room full of people who believe I'm 6 feet under. You should have seen Claire's face when she spotted me across the crowd. Pure fear, like she'd seen a ghost. And, trust me, what happened next? It tore their carefully crafted lies to shreds. Let me know where you're watching from in the comments below. Hit that subscribe button and buckle up because this story's gonna blow your mind. Growing up in Santa Barbara, California, was like living in a postcard. Oceanfront mansions, palm trees, and wealth so thick you could choke on it. My parents, Victoria and Edward Larson, were the king and queen of high society. Their two-story colonial with 5 bedrooms and a pool out back? It wasn't a home, it was a stage for their perfect family act. My sister Claire was their star. Blonde, gorgeous, the kind of girl who won pageants and hearts without trying.
Me?
I was the spare, the one with frizzy hair, braces, and a few extra pounds, always tripping over their expectations. Emma, why can't you be more like Claire? My mom would sigh, her voice sharp as a knife. They didn't just compare us. They made it clear I was a flaw in their flawless world. But here's the kicker. They didn't just push me out. They buried me figuratively and, to everyone else, literally. Stick with me to find out how I went from their dirty secret to the woman who flipped their world upside down. You won't believe the secret they hid for 12 years, and you'll want to see how I made them face it. You just heard how my family erased me, told everyone I was dead to protect their perfect image. That Santa Barbara Yacht Club Gala was their stage, and I was about to tear the curtain down. But to understand why I walked into that lion's den after 12 years, you need to know where this all started. Back in the glossy, suffocating world of my childhood. Growing up in Santa Barbara wasn't just about sunsets and beaches. It was a pressure cooker for the elite, where appearances were everything. My parents, Victoria and Edward Larson, weren't just rich. They were royalty in this coastal paradise. Our 6-bedroom mansion on Cliff Drive, with its wraparound porch and view of the Pacific, was like something out of a magazine. But inside, it was a battlefield where I was always losing. My mom, Victoria, was the queen of perfection. Blonde, Pilates-toned, always in tailored dresses that screamed money. She chaired charity boards, hosted wine tastings, and had a smile that could charm a shark. My dad, Edward, was a real estate mogul who closed deals over golf at the country club. To them, family wasn't about love, it was about branding. And my sister Claire? She was their masterpiece. At 16, she was already winning beauty pageants, her golden curls and green eyes lighting up every room. Straight-A student, cheer captain, the girl who got prom queen and a standing ovation at her piano recitals. When Claire walked in, people stopped talking. My parents would beam, their pride practically glowing. "That's our Claire," they'd say, like she was their only kid.
Me?
I was the glitch in their perfect system. Frizzy brown hair that defied every brush, braces that made me hide my smile, and a body that never fit into Claire's hand-me-downs. I wasn't just different. I was invisible. At 10, I overheard my mom tell her friend, "Claire's our star, but Emma, she's a work in progress." A work in progress who got straight A's in math and science, but that didn't matter. "Why can't you put in some effort, Emma?" my mom would snap, eyeing my baggy jeans. "You're embarrassing us." My dad was worse in his own way. He'd glance at me over his newspaper and mutter, "Claire's already got 3 college offers. What's your plan?" Like my dreams didn't even register. Family dinners were a masterclass in comparison. Claire would talk about her latest pageant win, and my parents would hang on every word. I'd try to chime in, maybe about the coding project I'd been working on in my room, and they'd nod absently, like I was background noise. Once, I spent weeks building a website for a school contest. I won first place, came home with a trophy, and showed it to my mom. She barely looked up from her phone. That's nice, Emma. But Claire's speech at the gala raised $5,000 for charity. $5,000 trumped my little victory every time. It wasn't just at home. Santa Barbara's high society had its own rules, and I broke them all. At 13, I was 5 feet 3 inches, clumsy, with acne that no cream could tame. Claire's friends, girls with perfect ponytails and designer bags, would giggle when I walked by at school. Is that really Claire's sister? They'd whisper, loud enough for me to hear. Claire never defended me. She'd just smile, like she was above it all, but I saw her username liking their snarky posts online. That hurt worse than anything. There was one person who saw me, Aunt Margaret, my dad's older sister. She lived in a small cottage 20 miles up the coast in Carpinteria, far from the glitz. Every summer, I'd spend 2 weeks with her, and it was like breathing after being underwater. Margaret wasn't rich or glamorous, but she was real. She'd sit with me on her porch, listening as I rambled about coding or my dreams of building something big. "You've got a mind that'll change the world, Emma," she'd say, her eyes fierce with belief. "Don't let them dim your light." She showed me old photos of herself, plain, like me, but with a spark that no one could ignore. "Beauty fades," she'd tell me, "but brilliance? That's forever." Those words kept me going through the nights I cried myself to sleep, feeling like a stranger in my own family. By 15, I was teaching myself to code, building apps in my bedroom while Claire planned her next pageant. Coding was my safe place, a world where logic ruled, not looks. But even that wasn't enough to shield me from what was coming. My family's obsession with perfection was about to hit a breaking point, and I'd be the one to pay the price. Stick around, because what they did next wasn't just cruel, it was unthinkable. I told you my family's obsession with perfection was a ticking time bomb, and at 15, I was already feeling the heat. That Santa Barbara world of glitz and judgment was suffocating, but what they did next wasn't just cruel, it was a betrayal that changed everything. By 17, I'd found my escape in coding, building apps that won school competitions, and even caught the eye of my computer science teacher. I wasn't just good, I was exceptional. When the acceptance letter from MIT arrived with a partial scholarship, I thought, finally, this is my chance to shine. I was wrong. Claire's debutante ball was the event of the year. Think chandeliers, string quartets, and 500 of Santa Barbara's elite packed into the Four Seasons ballroom. My parents had spent $20,000 to make Claire the star, her white gown sparkling like she was born for it. I was 17, awkward in a borrowed dress 2 sizes too big, but I'd hoped to blend in. Then my mom called me to the stage. My heart raced. Maybe they'd finally seen my MIT letter, pinned to the fridge for weeks. Instead, my dad took the mic and said, "Claire is our pride, the future of the Larson name. Emma will pursue her own path elsewhere." The room erupted in laughter, like I was the punchline to a cruel joke. I stood there, frozen, as my mom added, "We wish her well, but she's not cut out for our world." Not cut out. Like I was defective. That night, back in our 6-bedroom mansion, they laid it out. "You're not a Larson anymore," my dad said, his voice cold as steel. "We've told people you left town. Better that than admit you're an embarrassment." My mom didn't even look at me. "MIT's too expensive, and you're not worth the investment. Claire's headed to Stanford. That's where our money goes." I begged, tears streaming, holding up my acceptance letter. "This is one of the best schools in the world." They didn't blink. "You're a liability," my dad snapped. "We'd rather have no daughter than one who drags us down." Claire just sat there, silent, her perfect nails picking at her dress. I stumbled to my room, the weight of their words crushing me. But the final blow came the next morning. I overheard my mom on the phone, telling her friend I'd died in a car crash. Died. They'd crafted a lie to erase me, to keep their perfect image intact. I was 17, disowned, and now, to the world, I was a ghost. Aunt Margaret was my only lifeline. She called that day, sensing something was wrong. "Pack your bags," she said. "You're coming to me." With her help, I'd escaped to Portland. but the scars of that night would fuel everything I became. Stay with me, because what happened at Claire's gala 12 years later made them regret ever counting me out. You just heard how my family didn't just disown me. They told the world I was dead, all to keep their perfect Santa Barbara image intact. At 17, I was a ghost in my own life, but Aunt Margaret's call that morning was the lifeline I needed. "Pack your bags," she said, her voice steady through my sobs. "You're not done yet." With her help, I left that 6-bedroom prison and headed to Portland, Oregon, carrying one suitcase, a beat-up laptop, and a heart full of scars. What came next wasn't easy, but it's where I started building the woman who'd walk back into their gala 12 years later. Portland was a far cry from Santa Barbara's sunshine. Rain soaked my thrift store coat as I stepped off the bus, my $15,000 inheritance from Aunt Margaret tucked in a bank account. It was all I had to start over. I found a 500-square-foot studio apartment in a rundown building that smelled like mildew and regret. The walls were so thin I could hear my neighbor's TV, and my bed was a mattress on the floor. I enrolled at Portland State University, chasing a computer science degree, but money was tight. I worked 2 jobs. Mornings slinging coffee at a cafe for $5 an hour, evenings waiting tables at a diner 6 nights a week. Sleep was a luxury I couldn't afford. Some nights, I'd stare at my laptop, coding until 3 in the morning, wondering if my dad was right. Maybe I wasn't cut out for anything. Coding kept me sane. It was the one place where I wasn't judged for my frizzy hair or secondhand clothes. In that digital world, my brain could soar. I built apps, debugged programs, and lost myself in lines of code that didn't care about my last name. But the real world wasn't so kind. 2 months in, I was $1,000 short on tuition. My roommate, Lily, a biology major with a sharp wit, noticed I hadn't eaten in 2 days. "Take this," she said, sliding me a flyer for a coding hackathon with a $2,000 prize. "You're a wizard with that laptop. Go win it." I almost didn't enter. The voice in my head, sounding too much like my mom's, told me I'd embarrass myself. But desperation won out. I spent 72 hours straight coding an app to streamline food bank deliveries, running on cheap coffee and sheer will. When I presented it, my hands shook, but the judges leaned forward, asking real questions. I didn't win first, but my second-place finish earned $1,000 and something better, a spark of belief. One judge, a professor named Dr. Chen, pulled me aside. "You've got rare talent," she said. "Keep going." For the first time, someone saw me, not the Larson reject, but a coder with potential. That moment lit a fire. Portland's gray skies didn't feel so heavy anymore. I wasn't just surviving, I was starting to fight. Stick with me, because those early struggles were just the beginning of a journey that led me back to that gala, ready to make my family face the truth they tried to bury. That second-place win at the Portland Hackathon was more than a $1,000 check. It was proof I wasn't the failure my family branded me. Those early days in that mildew-soaked studio, scraping by on $5 an hour, were brutal, but they forged me into someone new. Portland's rain and grit became my crucible, and over the next few years, I built the life that would have made Aunt Margaret proud. That fire Dr. Chen sparked? It turned me into a woman ready to storm back into Santa Barbara's gala 12 years later, not as a ghost, but as a force. At Portland State, I didn't just study computer science, I owned it. I graduated top of my class after 4 years, with 3 job offers before I even crossed the stage. I chose Nexus Tech, a scrappy startup 20 miles from downtown. My first project? Building an AI algorithm that saved a client $10 million in fraud losses. My boss, Sarah, called it a game changer. By 22, I was leading a team of 5, coding solutions that made headlines in tech blogs. The girl who'd been called a liability was now a rising star, and it felt like sweet revenge. But it wasn't just about work. Portland changed me inside, too. Walking 2 miles to campus every day because I couldn't afford bus fare slimmed me down, and the stress that fueled my acne faded as I found my place. My roommate Lily dragged me to a salon one day, chopping my frizzy mane into a sleek bob that made me do a double take in the mirror. "You're a badass," she said, grinning. For the first time, I believed it. Confidence wasn't about looking like Claire, it was about owning who I was. Then I met Ryan at a hackathon when I was 23. He was 6 feet tall, with kind brown eyes and a laugh that warmed me like coffee on a rainy day. We bonded over late-night coding sessions, debating algorithms like they were poetry. On our third date, he tucked a strand of hair behind my ear and said, "Your mind's the sexiest thing about you." My heart skipped. Ryan didn't see the Larson reject. He saw me, scars and all. Falling in love with him was like finding a home I never had. By 25, we were sharing a one-bedroom apartment with a view of Mount Hood, building a life together. My career kept climbing. At 26, I pitched a new AI security system to Nexus Tech's board. They greenlit it, and it became their flagship product, earning me a six-figure bonus. Tech magazine started name-dropping me as a visionary. I wasn't just surviving anymore, I was thriving, proving my family wrong with every line of code. But deep down, a piece of me still carried that 17-year-old's pain. When that gala invitation arrived years later, it wasn't just a chance to face them. It was a chance to show them who I'd become. Hang tight, because what pushed me to walk through those doors is a twist you won't see coming. That six-figure bonus and visionary label from tech magazines felt like a middle finger to my family's rejection, but even at 26, thriving in Portland with Ryan by my side, a part of me still carried the sting of being declared dead. I'd built a life, a damn good one, yet the scars from that Santa Barbara betrayal lingered like ghosts. I thought I'd buried them, but one rainy evening, a single envelope flipped my world upside down. It was the spark that sent me back to Claire's Gala 12 years later, not for their approval, but to finally close a chapter they'd tried to erase. It was a typical Portland night, rain tapping our one-bedroom apartment's windows, Mount Hood barely visible through the fog. Ryan and I were sprawled on the couch, splitting a $10 pizza, when I grabbed the mail from the kitchen counter. Among the bills was a thick, cream-colored envelope, gold-embossed, with no return address. My hands froze. It screamed Santa Barbara wealth, the kind my parents used to flaunt. I slid it open, heart pounding, and pulled out an invitation to Claire's charity gala at the Santa Barbara Yacht Club, set for 3 weeks away. Together with their families, it read, "Claire Larson and Nathan Pierce request your presence." My name was typed in elegant script, Emma Larson. After 12 years of silence, I was invited.
But why?
I dropped the envelope like it was on fire. Ryan looked up, concerned. "What's wrong?" he asked, setting down his slice. I handed him the invitation, my voice shaking. "They think I'm dead, Ryan. This has to be a mistake, or a trap." My mind raced. Was it Claire? My parents? Someone else who'd slipped my name onto the guest list? I hadn't spoken to them since I was 17, when they disowned me at Claire's debutante ball. The idea that they'd suddenly want me at their $5,000 a plate gala felt like a sick joke. Ryan read the invite, his jaw tight. "You don't have to go," he said. "You owe them nothing," but I couldn't let it go. That night, I barely slept, the invitation haunting me. Was this their way of taunting me? Or had someone, maybe Claire, had a change of heart? I dug online, searching for answers. Claire's LinkedIn showed she was a PR exec, engaged to Nathan Pierce, a 32-year-old heir to a tech empire. Their gala was the talk of Santa Barbara's elite, raising funds for a children's hospital. It all screamed Larson perfection, but my name on that list didn't fit. I even checked Nathan's profile. His company had cited my AI work in a recent report. Did he know who I was? Was this a business play? I took the invite to my therapist, Dr. Ellis, the next day. We'd been working through my family trauma for 2 years, peeling back layers of pain. "What does this mean to you?" she asked, her voice steady. I paced her office, 5 steps one way, 3 the other. "It's like they're daring me to show up," I said. "But why now, after 12 years? Do they know about Nexus Tech? Are they trying to claim credit?" Dr. Ellis flipped it. "What do you want from going? Closure? Confrontation?" I didn't know, but the idea of facing them as the woman I'd become, not the 17-year-old they'd crushed, felt like a pull I couldn't ignore. Ryan and I talked it over for days. My best friend, Maya, a 6-year veteran of family feuds, came over with wine and zero patience. They don't deserve you, she snapped. Why give them the satisfaction? But Ryan saw what I needed. You're not that scared kid anymore, he said, squeezing my hand. If you go, it's for you. To end this on your terms. That hit me. I wasn't chasing their love anymore. I was reclaiming my story. I RSVP'd yes, adding one for Ryan, my rock through it all. As the gala loomed, I prepared like it was a mission. This wasn't about fitting into their world. It was about showing them mine. I wasn't sure what waited at that yacht club, but I knew one thing. I'd walk in with my head high, ready to face whatever they threw. Keep listening, because how I got that invitation and what it unleashed is a bombshell you can't miss. That gold-embossed invitation sat like a grenade on my kitchen counter for 3 weeks, daring me to face the family that declared me dead. I'd built a life in Portland. Nexus Tech star, Ryan's love, a sleek bob instead of frizzy hair, but the pull to confront my past was undeniable. Ryan's words, "You're not that scared kid anymore," echoed as we boarded a 6-hour flight to Santa Barbara. I wasn't returning to beg for their love. I was there to show them the woman they'd tried to erase. 12 years later, I was ready to walk into Claire's gala and shake their perfect world. The Santa Barbara Yacht Club loomed like a fortress of wealth, its white columns glowing under a starry sky. I stepped out of the taxi in a sapphire gown that hugged my frame, 5-inch heels clicking with purpose. Ryan, sharp in a tailored suit, squeezed my hand. "You've got this," he whispered. Inside, the pre-gala cocktail hour buzzed with 200 of California's elite, men in linen blazers, women dripping in diamonds. Waiters weaved through with $10 glasses of champagne. I felt their eyes on me, but not one recognized the Larson reject. A woman in a $6,000 dress, my mom's old bridge partner, approached. "Are you with Pierce Tech?" she asked, eyeing my poise. "Just a guest," I said, smiling. She didn't blink. I scanned the room. My mom, Victoria, stood by a marble pillar, blonde hair still flawless, laughing with a senator. My dad, Edward, sipped a whiskey, schmoozing a tech CEO 10 feet away. Their world hadn't changed, but I had. I caught my mom's gaze for a split second. She frowned, like a memory flickered, but turned away. Claire was nowhere yet, probably prepping for her grand entrance. The air felt electric, like a storm brewing. Nobody knew the ghost they'd buried was standing 5 feet from the open bar. Ryan leaned in. "You okay?" I nodded, heart steady. This wasn't their stage anymore, it was mine. I wasn't here to blend in. I was here to be seen, not as their failure, but as the woman who'd outgrown their lies. What happened next turned their gala into a reckoning they never saw coming. Stay tuned, because the moment they realized who I was, it was just the start of their unraveling. Standing in that Santa Barbara Yacht Club, 5 feet from the open bar, I felt the weight of 12 years of lies. My parents, Victoria and Edward, mingled 10 feet away, oblivious to the ghost they'd buried. I'd walked in ready to be seen, and the moment was coming. The gala's main event, a toast to Claire and Nathan's charity, started with 200 guests gathered around a stage draped in white roses. Nathan, Claire's fiancé, took the mic, his 6-foot frame commanding the room. "We have a special guest tonight," he said, scanning the crowd. His eyes locked on me. "A woman whose work inspires us all." My heart stopped. Claire, radiant in a $10,000 gown, froze beside him, her green eyes wide. Nathan gestured to me. "Please join us." The room turned, 200 pairs of eyes on me as I walked to the stage, my 5-inch heel steady. I took the mic, my voice calm but sharp. "I'm Emma Larson, Claire's sister, the one they erased 12 years ago." Gasps rippled through the crowd. Claire's face drained of color, like she'd seen a corpse. My mom, Victoria, dropped her $10 champagne flute, the glass shattering on the marble floor. My dad's jaw clenched, his whiskey glass trembling. "They told you I died in a car crash," I continued, meeting Claire's gaze. A lie to hide their shame. "At 17, they disowned me for not fitting their perfect mold. But I'm here, alive and thriving." The room was silent, 200 guests hanging on every word. Nathan's face darkened. "Claire, is this true?" he demanded, turning to her. She stammered. It's complicated. I cut in, voice steady. It's not. They declared me dead to save face, and Claire stood by while they did it. A woman in the crowd, my mom's old friend, shouted, Victoria, you said Emma was gone? My mom's voice cracked. We did what was best. Best? The word lit a fire in me. Best for who? I asked. You erased me because I wasn't Claire. But I built a life you couldn't imagine, leading AI at Nexus Tech, cited by your fiancé's company. Nathan's eyes widened, connecting the dots. You're that Emma Larson? He asked, shocked Claire. Claire grabbed Nathan's arm, pleading, This isn't the time. But Nathan pulled away. You lied about your own sister? The crowd murmured, phones out, recording the unraveling. My parents stood frozen, their perfect facade shattered. I handed the mic back to Nathan and stepped off the stage, Ryan's proud nod grounding me. The truth was out, and their lies were in pieces. What happened next? It turned their gala into a reckoning they'd never forget. Stick with me, because the fallout was even wilder. The Santa Barbara Yacht Club was a pressure cooker after I dropped the mic, exposing my family's 12-year lie that I was dead. 200 guests whispered, their phones still recording as Claire's $10,000 gown seemed to wilt under the weight of her shame. My parents, Victoria and Edward, stood 10 feet away, their perfect masks shattered like my mom's champagne flute. Nathan's 6-foot frame loomed over Claire, his voice low but fierce. You lied about your sister? He pressed, ignoring my mom's plea to discuss this privately. The gala they'd planned to raise $5 million was now a spectacle of their downfall. I stepped off the stage, Ryan's hand steadying me as murmurs swelled. My dad tried to intercept, his voice fake calm. This is a misunderstanding, he said, but a guest cut in. You told us she died. My mom's face crumpled, her usual poise gone. I didn't gloat, I didn't need to. The truth was out, and their lies were choking them. Ryan whispered, You did it, his pride grounding me. I felt lighter, like 12 years of pain had finally exhaled. We stayed another 30 minutes, long enough to be polite but not to linger in their mess. As we headed to the coat check, Claire rushed over, tears streaking her $500 makeup. Why couldn't you let me have this night? She choked. I met her eyes, calm but firm. I didn't plan this, Claire. You invited me. The truth just caught up. Her silence spoke volumes. She knew I was right. Nathan watched from 20 feet away, his trust in her visibly cracked. We left the yacht club, the ocean breeze hitting my face like freedom. In our hotel room 10 miles away, I collapsed onto the bed, the weight of the night sinking in. Ryan sat beside me, loosening his tie. You are unstoppable, he said. I stared at the ceiling, a strange peace settling. I hadn't come for revenge, just to be seen. But exposing their lie? That was justice. The fallout wasn't over, though. Claire's next move would change everything. Keep watching, because what she did after the gala was a twist I never expected. Walking out of that Santa Barbara Yacht Club, leaving my family's 12-year lie in tatters, felt like shedding a 1,000-pound weight. Claire's tear-streaked face and my parents' shattered facade stayed with me as Ryan and I drove 10 miles back to our hotel. Exposing their deception wasn't just justice, it was freedom. But 3 weeks later, back in Portland's rainy embrace, a knock on my one-bedroom apartment door pulled me back into their world. What Claire did next wasn't the groveling apology I expected. It was a step towards something raw and real. I opened the door to find Claire. No longer the gala queen in a $10,000 gown, but a woman in jeans and a $5 coffee stain on her sweater. Her green eyes, red-rimmed, met mine. Can we talk? She asked, voice small. I hesitated, the memory of her silence at 17, when my parents declared me dead, still sharp. Ryan, cooking dinner 10 feet away, gave me a nod. I let her in, and we sat at my 2-seat kitchen table, a 5-inch gap feeling like a canyon. I was wrong, Claire started, hands twisting a napkin. I knew they lied about the car crash, and I went along with it. I was scared of losing their love. Her words hit like a punch. She'd chosen their approval over me, her sister. But then she added, You were always braver, Emma. You didn't need them like I did. I stared, stunned. The pageant queen I'd envied saw my strength. We talked for 3 hours, peeling back 12 years of pain. She admitted the gala invite was her idea, a desperate hope to see me, not knowing how to ask. Nathan had pushed her into therapy after the gala, forcing her to face her complicity. It wasn't a fairy tale reunion. I didn't forgive her outright. Trust takes time. But her vulnerability cracked something open. "I want to know you," she said, tears falling. I handed her a tissue, my own eyes stinging. We agreed to start slow, coffee dates, phone calls, no pressure. Claire was trapped in her own gilded cage, chasing our parents' approval just as I once had. Seeing her as human, not the perfect sister, shifted something in me. Ryan joined us, easing the tension with his 6-foot warmth. "You two look alike when you're real," he teased, making us laugh, a sound I hadn't shared with Claire since we were 10. This wasn't the sisterhood of childhood, but it was a start. What came next showed me family isn't just blood, it's choice. Stay with me, because how I honored Aunt Margaret's faith in me changed more than just my story. Those tentative coffee dates with Claire were a start, a fragile thread connecting us after 12 years of silence. But as I sat in my Portland one-bedroom apartment, reflecting on our cautious steps towards something real, I realized family isn't just about blood. It's about lifting others up, like Aunt Margaret did for me. She'd given me a $15,000 lifeline when my parents declared me dead, and her faith fueled my journey from a ghost to a Nexus tech leader. Now it was my turn to pay it forward, and what I did next honored her in a way that reached beyond my story. 6 months after the gala, I launched the Margaret Larson Women in Tech Foundation at a Portland community center 10 miles from downtown. 50 young women, all aspiring coders, filled the room, their laptops open, eyes bright with dreams. I stood before them, not in a $10,000 gown, but in jeans and a $5 tee, a woman who'd once felt invisible. "This foundation's for you," I told them. "Scholarships worth $20,000 each year, mentors to guide you, and a community to remind you your worth isn't tied to anyone's approval." Applause echoed, but it was their hope that hit me hardest. Girls like 17-year-old me, coding in secret, afraid to shine. Ryan, my 6-foot anchor, helped organize the event, his smile steadying me as I spoke. 2 tech firms I'd worked with pledged $100,000 to our fund, and Nexus Tech offered internships for 5 graduates. I shared Margaret's story, her plain cottage, her fierce belief in me, and how one person's kindness changed everything. "You don't need a perfect family," I said, choking up. "You need someone who sees you. We're that for you now." The foundation wasn't just a project, it was my legacy, a way to ensure no one felt erased like I had at 16. As I watched those girls code, I felt Margaret's spirit close, her $15,000 gift living on. But my story's final lesson wasn't just about giving back, it was about choosing who we become. Stick around, because what I learned from all this pain and triumph will hit you right in the heart. Launching the Margaret Larson Foundation 6 months ago, watching 50 young coders light up a Portland community center 10 miles from my one-bedroom apartment showed me family isn't just who you're born to, it's who you choose to uplift. Aunt Margaret's $15,000 gift saved me when my parents erased me 12 years ago, and giving back felt like honoring her spark. But as I stood on that gala stage, facing Claire and 200 shocked guests, I learned something deeper. My journey from a ghost to a Nexus Tech leader wasn't about proving them wrong. It was about claiming my worth. Here's the truth. Your value doesn't come from others' approval, not from a $5,000 plate gala or a 6-bedroom mansion. It's in your courage to rise, even when you're told you're nothing. My parents declared me dead to protect their image, but I built a life 10 times stronger without them. You can too. Set boundaries with those who dim your light. Walk away if you must. Surround yourself with people like Ryan, who see your 6-foot soul, not your scars. Choose family who cheer your wins, like those girls coding their futures because of my foundation. Apply this today. Look at your life. Who's holding you back? Maybe it's a friend who belittles your 2-year dream, or a boss who overlooks your 10-hour hustle. Draw a line, say no to their doubts. Then find your tribe, the ones who drive 10 miles to celebrate your one-step forward victory. That's family. I learned this the hard way from 17 to now, and it's why I'm standing tall. Not for Claire's apology, but for me. Now, I want to hear from you. Have you ever had to redefine family? Maybe you cut ties, or found a six-person chosen crew who gets you. Drop your story in the comments. I read everyone. If this hit home, smash that subscribe button and join our 5,000-strong community of dreamers building lives on their terms. Hit the bell so you don't miss my next video, where I'll dive into another secret that flipped my world. Thanks for riding with me through this crazy journey. Your worth? It's not up for debate. Live it, own it, and never let anyone tell you otherwise. Until next time, keep shining.